Hello, and thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited you could be here. Look, I am really excited about the interview today because you often hear me say that I think the problem in lending is that, lenders offer only a little bit here, a little bit there. And so when you go to a funding source, you don't usually have access to a lot of different options in one place. And what you're about to hear today will change that forever. I mean, it completely changes the game because that's exactly what they've done is change the game by offering a lot of different options, grants, equity financing, many different types of business financing all in one place. I don't know of anybody that's done it. Definitely nobody that's done it better. So with us today is Ciaran Burke. Now, Ciaran is actually a fintech entrepreneur and business leader serving as co-founder and chief operating officer of Swoop. And Swoop is actually a platform that helps small business and medium-sized businesses access funding through loans, through grants, and equity solutions. Now, under his leadership, Swoop has become a trusted resource for SMEs seeking faster, more efficient access to capital. Prior to Swoop, he actually founded Hive, a professional networking platform that grew to over 150,000 members and supported more than 4,500 businesses, including organizations such as Google, such as BBC, Facebook, even Sony. So his experience scaling technology-driven companies has given him deep expertise in operations and growth strategy and innovation as well. Now, Ciaran is passionate about leveraging technology and AI to improve business financing and empower entrepreneurs, sharing insights on fintech, SME funding, and building scalable businesses. Ciaran, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Ty. Delighted to be here and delighted to have the conversation with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining. You're joining out of London right now, and we were just talking about it. We're in the World Cup. You guys are playing. It's just like so many distractions right now. So I'm glad you were able to cut loose and be able to join us today.
Yeah, it's a very happy city here. England were nearly knocked out, but their kind of talisman Harry Kane has managed to save the day, so they're through to the round of 16. So you never know; it could be England US meet at some point along the way.
Could be. I mean, how exciting would that be? So. I love Hive. I actually know Hive. So when I was, going through and looking and getting set up for the show, it's such an accomplishment of funding Hive, and Swoop is just crushing it right now. So let me ask you this. What made you get into the business financing suite from kind of what you were doing before?
Well, it was raising money for Hive. So we kind of had a board meeting, and then I was like, will we look at external financing to kind of get from the next kind of growth phase? And our board was like, yeah, absolutely, go do that. I'd never done that before. So I was like, okay, well, how do you go out and get financing? And I think I put in touch actually by my dad with my co-founder, Andrea. She had helped a friend of his raise finance for a pharma business. And so I caught up with Andrea, kind of like talked a bit about what we are doing. And then she started to tell me about like this whole equity landscape. And then she helped me get investors on the Hive side of things and connecting there. And then we just got on super well, and we kind of stayed connected. And she started telling me a bit more about what she was doing. And at the time, she was working with McLaren, the Formula One team. And a lot of the spin out companies there were super capital intensive. And you need to get really creative about the funding because, like, your bank wasn't saying no to these huge engineering projects. So she was really starting to know the grants ecosystem, equity ecosystem, alternative finance ecosystem. So as such, we're starting to really see that there was loads and loads of different options out there. And so she was kind of chatting to me about like, oh, there's so much optionality out there, but like you kind of need a platform or a marketplace to connect them. And Hive was very much is a marketplace. So I could really see how you could apply the same kind of systems and thinking to finance, where you can get data sources from your Intuit or your bank account and then connect them into various different funders. So we kind of set about building out a kind of a prototype together, and that's kind of what kickstarted the business. And we entered into like a banking competition in the UK, which we ended up winning, and that kind of just kickstarted the business from there. And that was about 8 years ago.
Wow, you've come a long way in 8 years. Now, you're a dominant force over here in the United States. Where are you? Because you're in a lot of places around the world, I think.
Yeah, we're in six countries. Obviously, trying to do our best to get as big and bold as we can be. In the US, obviously, a challenge coming at it from 50 different states. But I think we're starting to get more and more established, which is great. I think the attraction within the US, particularly for our US customers, is there's just so much liquidity out there. Just it's just an awareness thing, and being aware of where all these pockets of money and funding exist. Outside of the US, we're in Canada, we're in the UK, we're in Ireland, we're in Australia, and we're in South Africa.
Wow. So, I mean, massive expansion. You're a huge organization. So, in the U.S., when you look at our market over here, what is it that, from your perspective, what is it that Swoop does that's so much different than what you see in the normal kind of fintech alternative lending space?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to bring that hybrid of tech and human, and just being completely honest about it, because SME finance is just an absolute pain. It's so annoying. You have so many forms. It takes forever. So like that's where the technology, the tech bit of it can be super handy. And we're constantly investing in whether it's AI based technology or just better data aggregation so that you should be able to onboard and connect seamlessly into Swoop, whether that's your banking, your accounting, and then we just going to put that, we're going to sweat that data. We're going to pre-populate as many forms as possible. We're going to run as much eligibility criteria as possible. We're going to stay on top of it every time there's a refi opportunity, every time there's a savings opportunity. So putting that to work, and that's very much the tech. So the fin side of it is, if you're a business owner, it's stressful. You've no bloody time. So there's times to time where you need to touch base, talk to someone that understands you, your business, or any products that's adjacent to it. So from the fin side of things, as that data comes in and we understand who you are, what you're interested in, what's relevant, we have people that are going to match that based on, is it property? Is it asset backed? Is it equipment? Is it invoice orientated? Is it grants? Is it R&D? Is it equity? So as you go through any application system or you're looking at certain products, there's someone on hand to be able to talk to you, explain relevancy, explain businesses that have gone through it before, to make that transaction so much more easier. The tech's there to make it a bit quicker, but you also have the human element as well, to make that a smooth transition. So it's really about that hybrid approach, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I love it. And you've really done something I don't see people do in the United States, or I don't see the companies do, which is you're the only one I've ever seen combine things like grants, funding, and equity in the same place. I've never seen that anywhere else. I don't even think it exists. I mean, we interviewed a lot of people and have, been in this space for decades. I don't think that exists. So tell me about that from a perspective. I'm a business owner. Like, what is it you're giving me access to? Like, what kind of funding options?
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, like there's challenges in it, but ultimately we're trying to serve the small business customer. And if we're truly going to serve the small business customer, we need to do right by them. And doing right by them is showing them the full market so you can blend the best possible capital combinations. Because God knows there's a million different brokers chasing those owners down, trying to sell them every MCA under the sun, and then just resell them MCAs over and over and over again and bleed them from margin to margin. Yes, commercially you can make a packet off that, but that doesn't give you longevity, doesn't give you trust, doesn't build up a really true brand that represents what you want to be and build that long-term connections to customers. So for us, it was so important, and still is so important, to blend all those elements into one. And then touching on your kind of question there, how do we do it? So from the data sources that you're connecting into, it could be your accountancy software. So if you're using QuickBooks, if you're using Xero, if you're Sage, you can onboard with that data. You can connect in your business banking account. We pull from other business registers. That basically allows us to unpick the businesses as a whole. Where are you located? What sector are you in? What stage are you in? That's going to drive a lot of optionality or eligibility around grants. Looking at your P&L, looking at your balance sheet, that's going to give us clues indicating, are there options around secured type funding that is going to be potentially cheaper than short-term rapid finance, or are there things in there from a debt serviceability point of view, which we can look at longer term financing. So we're using all these kind of different data clues to bring in either one particular product or looking at a blended approach that might be the cheapest form for you in the long term.
I love it. So when you're doing that, what kind of products are you giving somebody access to in the end that you're matching them to? Is it business funding? What kind of loans do you have in that space?
Y-
Grants? Like, give me an idea of the funding picture that you can give people options with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there. So you're talking maybe 1,000 different products, but kind of breaking it down into some of the main hero subtypes. So you have your vanilla type term lending. You've got the full SBA product offering, so the Small Business Association product offering. You've got your SBA 7Cs in there for your quick SBA loans. You've got their bigger SBA acquisition facilities in there. You've got invoice orientated, so selective invoice finance, so accounts receivable, equipment based finance. You got which is can be a hard asset or a soft asset. So anything for machinery, anything down to laptops. You got real estate finance for bridging, development, commercial real estate. You've got tax-based financing for those businesses that are doing R&D or research and development. You've got tax credits that you can get access to or advancing those tax credits. Within the grants gamut, you've got private grants, public grants, grants at a national level, grants at a state level. From an equity perspective, you have angel investors, you have traditional VC, you have family offices, you have private equity. So yeah, you have a real range, and then you've a lot of those short-term working capital instruments as well that are very very well known, revolving credit facilities, line of credit, merchant finance, that sort of thing as well.
I just love what you guys do. Like, I mean, we talk about this. I talk about this to our all the time. Like, it's a huge problem. Like, people can't go to one source and get even a fraction of what you're saying. And not only do you encompass all the stuff on the funding side, but then you bring equity together, and nobody does that. Nobody brings equity and funding together. I don't know if anybody does that. And then grants and all these other things on top of it. It's phenomenal. When you deal with the tech side of things, is it your tech that helps somebody narrow down what they can get, and then the human comes in using the tech to then explain to them how that funding works and help them through the process of getting funding?
Exactly that. So what we have is a system that's reading and getting all the product eligibility out there from every grant funder, equity fund, family office, lender, bank, alternative finance provider, and then ultimately what the business owner or the advisor on behalf of the business owner, because we also have 1,000 different partners that use a white label version of Swoop, primarily CPAs, accountants that are doing it for their business. But how they're using the technology there is they're analyzing data and the big drivers. So the financial data is showing which products are eligible, but you might have a myriad of different products, and then it's understanding what are the big drivers for that customer. Is it speed? So which one of these lenders or banks are able to move most quickly? Is a price? Is a price based on here the lowest possible rate? Or is it a cash flow consideration? So, can I go for the longest possible term loan? It's actually the lowest cash in, cash out equivalent. Or is security something that's super important to me? I.e., I don't want to put a personal guarantee or I don't want to prop property on the line. So, what options are available to me? And it's using all those different drivers to see what options available. And then again, it's going back to that kind of combination factor of yes, I can get maybe I need 500,000, but I'm in the agricultural sector and I'm looking to invest in machinery. Well, actually, my local state is willing to do a match contribution of 30%. So actually only need 70%. And it's making those connections that help massively reduce the cost of capital for that agricultural business that can go and get that investment in. But by blending those products together, they get a much better outcome.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely everything in one place. So when it comes to the human interaction, then what is that process like? Like, well, actually, give me an idea. If I come into Swoop, give me an idea of what I can experience as a prospect or a user coming in from the very beginning. Like, what does that process look like for me?
Yeah, and you have different user types. Like there are some business owners that just do not want that. They're very happy to do it themselves, and they absolutely can do it. So in signing up to Sweep, the first thing you're able to do is obviously say what it is you're looking to achieve, what are your ambitions, type all that in. As I said, connect in accounting and banking straight away. You're going to see eligible programs, whether you want to go acquisition finance, equipment financing, and you can go fully end to end with that. But along the way, you will always see the capability. Either you've got the ability to bring your advisor, your FD in along the journey, but equally, you'll always be assigned to someone in Swoop that matches your data points. So say you're looking at a real estate type transaction, you'll be matched to our property team. You'll be able to engage with them. They can give you a full overview of all the products, the banks, the lenders that exist within that you're looking at. They can give references in terms of case studies that gone before, expected timelines around the transaction, just really give you that peace of mind and to kind of help you move things through. But what we find is we have various different users that have certain preferences. Some just like to go completely digital. Some like that human assisted approach. So both options are available to businesses, but ultimately we're kind of like a walking case study ourselves. Like ourselves as Swoop, we've raised $30 million personally using equity grants and lending. So we're trying to put in, how did we find out what is the pain that we had maybe along the way, and then give a better offer back to the customers. And what we want to do, if you're filling in a form, it should be super smooth. You shouldn't have to put repetitive information. And if you do want to talk to someone, they need to be knowledgeable about that particular category.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's what you're categorizing teams. So you have a team that's in real estate and a team that's in SBA, for example.
Exactly.
So whenever I'm talking to somebody that's really knowledgeable in that product category.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you're not, so Swoop isn't lending their own money. You're like a matchmaker to help me understand all my options, narrow them down, find the right option, and then be there right beside me to help me through the process, probably all the way through to closing and funding. Is that accurate?
Exactly that. So to date, we've just done over 3 billion in funding, do about 500 to 600 loans a month. And exactly as you said it, we just want to facilitate as much as we can in terms of connecting business owners that need funding and getting them in the right place and building a connection with them. And that connection either could be the person that you engage with or building an account through Swoop. And some of the ways we stay connected with that business owner is, yes, we can kind of track and monitor you over time because there might be a refinance opportunity to help reduce that facility over time. But equally, we know there's a tremendous data exchange that happens on a funding journey, primarily across banking and accounting data. So straight away, what we always give back is we show key expenditure across business insurance, business banking, business energy spending, point of sale payments, accounting payments, and we benchmark that data back to the customer to show, are they spending more or less relative to businesses in their size or their sector. And if they're spending above, we give them optionality and routes to be able to reduce that business insurance, reduce that business energy, or if they have surplus cash balances, we have various different either money market funds or deposit accounts that they can utilize to put cash back into that business.
Wow. So a lot of options outside of just the funding area that you're helping a business with as well.
Yeah. So
you also mentioned the other side of it for advisors. And so tell me about that. Like if I'm an advisor, what kind of advisors do you work with a lot? What's that process look like to be able to use Swoop to help my end customer?
Yeah, so I think pretty early doors, we noticed when we were analyzing where are these businesses coming from, we could see a huge amount of them were coming from their accountant, their other brokers, financial advisors, CPAs that seemed to have a really trusted relationship with these businesses. And what we could see in our data that these deals were converting at a much higher level, and they tend to have a kind of a bigger average order value. So we thought about it and said, well, this is a much better way to go to market than spending gazillions plowing it into Google ads to try and get businesses in this way. Well, we built all this infrastructure. Why don't we give it out to accountancy practices, other brokers, membership associations that have really trusted relationships with their end small business customer or mid-market customer? And that's exactly what we did. And so we now have a huge volume, about 1,000 partners that have Swoop's technical infrastructure. They're either white labeling it, embedding it, or have an API of it within their software, their platform, their website, and allows them to go to market to be able to offer their customers access to finance. Um, we see this particularly in the accountancy sector, where you have accountants or CPAs having regular quarterly business reviews, and time again, these businesses are coming to them asking about, where do I go for funding? How do I do this? How do I do that? And what we give them is a system to be able to load up all their clients, see all their clients based on their business credit score, and see what options are available to them, so they can be super proactive when they come to these meetings to let those customers know, hey, did you know there's a grant in this area, or this is what you're eligible for? And then systemize the whole thing so that if they do want to do it, they have the full infrastructure to manage and track any application in the system. So that's been really a great solution and a win-win for us across the board, both for ourselves, the intermediary, and the end customer.
A couple questions with that. You said they have access. Do they have access to business credit scores through the system, or is it consumer and business? Is it just business? And if it's business, what scores do they have access to?
Yeah, so that was one thing again that we got a lot of feedback from. So one of our big partners is Sage. They're accountancy software with lots of different accountancy softwares under the hood. We started testing a lot out with their end customers and the accountancy practices that use the software. And time again, we were getting a lot of feedback saying, "Oh, we're really interested in this business insights and understanding where we are as a business." So we've layered way more of that into the product. So you can get things like business score, FICO score, Vantage score. And then most recently, we've introduced a kind of a Swoop score. So looking and analyzing on the hundreds and thousands of transactions that we've done, both successfully and unsuccessfully, to give them an indication on their probability of getting funded. So it allows them to kind of analyze it. And then we also kind of give them access to various different ratios that banks and lenders will be using in their underwriting models to analyze them as a business, which are often behind the scenes. And it's very hard for them when they get a rejection or they don't understand. So what we want to do is try and expose as much of that up front, because I think the most important thing is to really focus on the things that you are eligible for, because you can waste so much time going down funding application journeys. And if you know upfront that you're not quite there yet, that's a much better experience. And know you're not quite there yet. Don't waste your time, but you also know what you need to do to be ready. That's a much better experience. So I think a lot of the partners within the Swoop ecosystem really connected with that. So they really value being able to get access to those insights, download those reports, being able to have those scores to hand. So when they have those meetings with those business customers, it adds a lot of value for them as partners of Swoop.
Yeah, it's very valuable. So you're bringing in credit, you're bringing in bank account data, and then all of that's going into the algorithm that's in helping us determine the kind of funding that we can get. And then it sounds like you're saying you're monitoring it regularly and ongoing, and then coming back and telling somebody when their situation changes, when they can get finance or refinance out of what they have. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly that. It's obviously easier when the customer connects in accounting or banking, because you can have an ongoing connection. A lot of the time we'll get documents just manually uploaded and we're able to kind of scan and track it in real time. But where we have that kind of ongoing connection, we're able to obviously track and monitor anything changes. But equally, we're having banks, lenders, grant agencies, equity funds either on board with new products or update or tweak those products. So as they change those rules, or they might change their appetite, or might be going after a new sector or segment, we're able to reverse engineer back that into the connected database. So it doesn't always have to be linear of business coming in looking for funding. We can reverse engineer and say, hey, we've got this new lender that's come on board that's exactly looking for you, has a really good fit, has pre-qualified based on the existing data. This might be something that you're interested. So again, it can be super proactive, and as such can be really quick for that end business if the two sides line up.
Yeah. So, and you're helping them. It sounds like somebody comes in and doesn't qualify. You're helping them understand why they don't qualify, and what they need to do to fix, and then giving them that guidance. And then you give them the guidance, you help them, and then from there, as they improve, then you return back new opportunities that they may qualify for.
Exactly that, because I think there's nothing wrong with a no at the beginning, because if that saves you a bunch of time and you give that no with education as to why not, and what would unlock a yes, I think that's such a good impact to give someone.
Yeah, and I'm curious on the business credit side when you talk about monitoring, do you do anything on with business credit building accounts like vendor accounts or business credit cards? Is that part of it as well?
Yeah, so we don't have them directly on Swoop. We have partnered up and are able to kind of reference into different kind of credit builders for those businesses that say aren't quite at that business credit score yet and want to do something about it by chipping away and getting kind of access to small piecemeal access to credit side of things. We don't have them specifically on Swoop, so we partner in and bring those guys in.
So you partner and then somebody needs help in that area. You've got
Exactly.
somebody you can offboard them to be able to get the help they need.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering, like on the advisor level, so what's that look like? Do I just pay to be an advisor? Do I make money on commissions on the funding on the back end? Like how does that program work?
Yeah, exactly that. So we have two different programs. So we have advisors that are just introducing deals. It's slightly nuanced depending on what geography you're in, because some geographies we in carry certain regulation that you need to come under. But say we're just talking about the US system. So if you're an advisor coming in, you can access to our advisor portal. What that gives you access to is an infrastructure, so you can white label the entire version of Swoop. You can take any module you want, whether that's insurance, lending, equity, grants. You can bring that into your website. Customers can self-serve, or you can add them in. You also have a portal system where you can bulk upload all of your clients, track, monitor them, do all that credit insights, as well as seeing every funding match that exists. And then you can proactively onboard any client or send them into Swoop to execute in any transactions. That costs $250 per month plus GST, and then you get 25% on any successful transaction that occurs. So typically speaking, you would make your annual revenue back on 1.2 transactions on average, based on our average order value. Where we also have for those advisors that are more corporate finance, that are actually writing and doing transactions themselves, we have what's called our broker portal. And that's where we onboard them. They get a certification and they are actually writing and being part of the deal creation. So they get a larger take on the traction. So they get 50% of the transaction. So there's
Wow. Yeah.
two models.
So models, so like a broker that wants to still do it themselves, they can still do it themselves.
Exactly.
Or somebody just doesn't want to do it. This is just you guys do
Just
it.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
how's a white label work? Like if I'm ABC funding and I want to come in and use this, then how does that actually work? Like, how does your reps is it like I'm handing it off to Swoop and you're representing
Yeah.
yourself as Swoop, or you're representing yourself as ABC funding?
Yeah. So how it works is, let's take your ABC funding example. We work with ABC funding. They kind of give us all the brand guidelines, colors, logos, all that sort of stuff, and then we whip that white label up pretty instantaneously. They just tell us which of the modules they want on or off, or if they want all of it. In that, we work through the narrative. 99% of the time, partners want to have some sort of powered by Swoop, so they can kind of give an understanding that they're bringing us to the table, because that's what we do in terms of having deal management infrastructure and also expertise around funding. So what will be part of that equation as someone is onboarding through ABC Limited's website, and they'll maybe navigate to a section around funding and grants or lending. And in that, there will be kind of context as the customer signs up to explain it's powered by Swoop and maybe who we are. And as they go through that journey, they'll onboard and start to go through the platform. Naturally, there'll be the other side of the house, which would be the Swoop side of the house. All of that is kind of tagged and monitored within Swoop, so we know exactly what white label it's come from. And so anyone engaging from the Swoop side will always have the context to say, hey, we see you've come through ABC Limited's finance hub or funding hub, or however they want to kind of brand it or name it. My name is Ciaran. I'm from the Swoop team. We power up and help ABC funding or ABC Limited, and that's kind of usually the kind of context in which it occurs. But always there's a connection between the two, and anyone in Swoop will know exactly where that business has come from.
Wow. I love it. I mean, I could talk to you for so long. It's just like, it's like you live in my head rent free. Like everything
Yeah.
you're saying is exactly what I say is like, here's all the problems with the lending industry in the United States. And you're just like, I'm going to solve every one of those things. And you do, you guys. It's so crazy. I love what you do. There's so many people on both sides. I think there's a lot of people watching this right now that are interested in getting money and seeing what they could do. And then there's a whole other segment of people that are watching right now saying, well, wait, I want to be an advisor. I want to offer this to a white label or one of your solutions. Where should they go to get more information and learn more?
Yeah, would love to chat to all of those people. It's pretty simple. Swoopfunding.com, SWOOP funding.com, and you'll see the various different user types there. If you're a business owner, you can sign straight up, put your details in. You'll see all options available to you. If you're an advisor or broker, again, you'll see the sign up process there. Get in touch. What's really, really cool for our advisors and brokers is seeing them build up their businesses and grow revenue streams through Swoop. So all parts of us make us super happy. We just want to invest in this deal management infrastructure to kind of power as many SMB transactions within the US that we can.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Super. Well, thanks so much for having me, Ty. Lovely chatting to you.
All right, so listen, if you're watching this, there's a couple different things. First of all, you want to go to swoopfunding.com. I mean, there's nobody. I've interviewed so many people, as you know, we're almost 1,000 interviews, right? And we talked to a lot of people in the fintech. Nobody does what Swoop does. Nobody, on two different levels, right? On one level, Swoop's the only company I've ever seen in this space combine a multitude of products on the debt side and the equity side. They even incorporate things like grants. But if you take just the debt side alone out, just this little piece, they do more funding in that than any source I've ever seen. Like they do just more different types of debt financing than anybody I've ever seen. Then they combine that with equity. Then they combine that with multiple other solutions. Then on top of that, then they have all different types of other alternative ancillary services you may need help with. You probably do, like insurance, for example. And it's all in one place. And it combines like the best technology that I've ever seen in the space with actual individuals that can help you. And why I asked him, like, how do you do it with the individuals? Because it's hard for one person to know 50 different kinds of loans. They don't. They have teams that handle in each of these areas. So you're working with an expert team that is an expert in SBA or equipment or real estate. So it's like in one place, you have access to all of this, including all of these experts in all of these different areas. Then we come to the advisor side. Then you can take everything they have and literally use it and package it as a way to offer this type of financing to your actual audience, help them solve a problem, and then get paid like a ridiculous commission on the back end. They're overpaying. I don't want to tell them that, but they're paying you too much money. Like they're doing all the work and you're taking all the money. I want to change the model. I'm just telling you, get it now before he gets hard to figure this thing out. Okay,
Model's changed. Model's changed.
So both sides, swoopfunding.com. You get to swoopfunding.com. Just click on the flag, US flag on the top right. The top left, you can easily click for business or for advisors to look at those two different verticals. Then bottom left, you can subscribe on social. It takes less than a minute. Follow them because they're like on the top of of what's going on with tech, AI, and funding and equity as well. So make sure you check them out today at swoopfunding.com. Thanks for tuning in. Take care and have a great day.